Sorry about the late start. I was trying to download something that was incredibly large from a file size perspective, and it wasn't happening. So it was kind of a pain in the butt. So, but it has been downloaded, and it will now make us a that much better a program. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. And it is time for the round of 32. And that's actually starts today. There's no real rest or anything when it comes to the round of 32. So what we'll do today, we'll go back over what happened Saturday, and we will set up what's going to happen today. We'll lay it all out for you with juice boxes, and we'll kind of get you into Monday as well. And there is no rest for none of us. Literally, it's just going to roll through, and we're just going to keep going, and welcome to match day 17. So you're going to get some goals. You're going to get some posts. You're going to hear from Yohan Vissa after the match here in Atlanta yesterday. Yohan Vissa got a double. We'll have a piece up on Yohan Vissa probably later today. And for DR Congo, it was one of those moments that you will never forget as a country. You get your first ever win in the tournament, which meant that you get your first ever advance into the tournament, into the knockouts. And you don't get to go anywhere. You don't have to. You're done. Your travel is stopped, at least for the time being, because you know that if you're a fan of DR Congo, you're going to want to keep going. And you're going to, as a matter of fact, you're going to want to continue to just keep rolling from there and not worry about it. And you're going to continue as deeply into this tournament as you can. So we're going to go over what happened yesterday. We'll set up what's going to happen today. We'll set up Monday for you. We'll look at the brackets, and we'll get everything squared away for you. So it was a very, very busy time. So we'll walk you through Saturday from the absolute beginnings, and we'll get you squared away for everything here in the round of 32. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And it has been a unique experience so far. And I don't think it's necessarily, and I guess this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community. Showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. I don't think it's going to really hit us on the whole that a World Cup has been here until we're done. I think it's going to be that way. Yeah, I think it's just going to be that way that you're going to realize that everything through here completely just launched. It came buzzing past you at about 400 miles an hour. And then you're going to be left to sit there and go, man, this was a hell of a party. And you're the one left to clean up all the mess. Unless folks decided to put things back in the garbage cans and the recycle bins when you were done. But no, it has been a crazy time. It really has. And to catch your breath kind of on a Sunday where you have only one match, but it begins the knockout phase. That's kind of where we are. It has been a crazy ride. And obviously we are, incredibly grateful for the opportunity to do it and be able to tell all the stories and proceed the way that we have. We've got some stories up at soccerdownhere.net on the match yesterday at Atlanta Stadium and on Lumumba Vea, who regrettably was not able to attend because of visa issues coming out of Mexico, and the story that is attached to Lumumba Vea and history with DR Congo. Maybe Lumumba Vea gets to be here for the matchup in the midweek against England. we'll keep an eye on that for you. But, yeah, early on Saturday morning, we were told through our sources that Lumumba was not going to be available and was not able to secure the proper paperwork to make it from Mexico here to the United States. So we'll keep an eye on that one and see if Lumumba can come into the country for Wednesday and the round of 32. So there are a lot of cool stories that are up. And I would recommend a couple of things. First off, go to soccerdownhere.net and subscribe to Morning Espresso, brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University. And we can't thank them enough for being great partners with us here at SDH. It is Jason's morning newspaper. And for anything and everything that you might need with all of your information that you need to get you through your day, you start there with the newspaper. You come here to us for SDH AM. You work through your day, you catch your matches, and then Jason has Atlanta soccer tonight, and he will run through everything as we get you ready once again for the sprint that is the remainder of the tournament in, let's see, so I think it's 17 days in and 22, I think 22 out. So the 19th of July is the World Cup final in the Meadowlands, and we're going to be covering every bit of that for you going forward. So it's been fun to be able to do it, and it's been a blur to get us to where we are right now. Day started in a couple of rainy places, and it was, one of those elements where with group stage, you don't want to have anything happening where teams are kind of lollygagging their way through, and you kind of make sure that there's one ending as opposed to a true ending. Started out in two places, in Philly and in the Meadowlands. Croatia and Ghana were part of Group L. Croatia ends up with a 2-1 win. Goal by Sucic in the 31st was evened out by a goal from Derek Lukasen in the 73rd. Then Nikola Vlasic scored in the 83rd. Croatia worked their way through with a win. They took care of their business, and they wrapped up group stage with a win in match number 68. At the same time, over in the Meadowlands, you had a very, very wet England and Panama throughout the warm-ups and everything. And it took a while for the engine to get turned over for England in match 67. You end up with a goal from Jude Bellingham in the 62nd minute. 5 minutes later, you get a goal from Harry Kane. England takes care of business in New Jersey. 2-0 your final. Attacking numbers, England had 57% of possession. And what they do at FIFA in the World Cup is they register actually time contested as a third category when it comes to possession. So England had it 57% of the time. Panama only 1/3 of the time. The remaining 11% was regarded to be in contest. 2 goals on the board, both inside the 18. 17-13 attempts, 6-2 on target. And this is all right now England leading these categories, which meant that 9-8 off target, 12-8 inside the 18, 5-5 each outside the 18. Final third entries 20, 30. So they're having me do math. And they do final third entries literally by channel. They go left, center, right, and then they go actually inside channels too. So 30, 43, 70, 27 final third entries came down the right-hand side for England. So 70 final third entries, 27 down the right-hand side compared to 13, so 33. So twice as many final third entries for England than for Panama in this match. Line breaks, 198 attempted, 150 converted for England, 93 of 171 for Panama. Yellow cards, 2-1 to Panama, fouls against 16, 13, 4 offsides on each. And looking at defending set turnovers, or forced turnovers, were 55-44 Panama, and pressing applied was 65 times more by Panama, 55 times more, 283 to 228. So that was the rundown in that matchup. Thomas Tuchel was asked after the match what he thought. Good morning, D. Graham. So Thomas Tuchel was asked after the match what he thought about what went down, and here's his response after the match.
There's no buts. We had a difficult game. Everyone who watched this close from the sidelines saw the physicality of the game. We saw a team that didn't allow any chances in the first two matches. They conceded in 95th minute from a counterattack against Ghana. They conceded from a half chance against Croatia from 2 shots on target. We managed to score 2 and create half chances, and later in the match more chances. We knew that it's physical. We knew that it's difficult to control the counterattacks. We knew that they play from the role of an underdog. We knew all these things. I know as a coach what it takes to win these matches. There is no problem if these matches feel tight, if these matches feel tough. It will help us in the next match, and this is where I am at the moment.
Thomas Tuchel, basically no excuses, and he is getting ready for his next match, and it's going to be a trip here to Atlanta. So they've got travel to do, and they're going to be making their way down here for the matchup in the midweek. This is SDH AM Sunday. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. And we're going to take you through Saturday and break everything down for you and get you ready for the round of 32. So that was Group L. Group L was in the barn at that point. Then you got to kind of sit there and try to do a little bit of math. We'll kind of do math as we go. So then that got us to the 2 night games, Colombia, Portugal, and DR Congo and Uzbekistan. Understandably, we're going to be spending a lot of time on the DR Congo match with Uzbekistan since it was here in the SDH footprint. Colombia and Portugal trying to decide Group K. It was 1 versus 2 and 3 versus 4. Colombia, Portugal is at Hard Rock down in Miami. No goals at the end of 90 minutes. Possession 51-41 Colombia, 8% in contest. And then you had a bunch of goals on the board. You had a bunch of zeros on the board. Sorry, a bunch of zeros on the board. No goals. 24 attempts at goal compared to 13 for Colombia. 7 on target compared to 2, which meant that 10 were off target compared to 7. 15 of the 24 attempts for Colombia were inside the 18. So keep an eye out on that number as we get into the knockouts for Colombia. 7-2 on target, 10-7 off, 15-5 inside the 18, and then it was 9-8 outside, obviously. Final third entries, 31 and 14, 45. So 61 final third entries, a lot of work down the left-hand side for Colombia. 27 of their entries down the left. More even, but still down the left-hand side for Portugal. 20 of their 31 and 7, 38, 50. So 40% of their entries were down the left as well. So you had 27 of 61 and you had 20 of 50 on the day. Offers to receive more than 100 more for Colombia. 394 to 281. Attempted line breaks, a little bit of an advantage to Colombia, 184 to 158. Completed 139 compared to 121. Discipline, 1 yellow card. Once again, that gets wiped off the books. Fouls against, 12-6 to Colombia, and offside 3-2. Distribution, obviously, about 91 more passes attempted for Colombia, and they completed 491. 491 of 547 compared to 421 of 456. 16-14 in crosses, 6 completed compared to 2. So Portugal only 2 of 14 in crosses on the day. 6 of 16 for Colombia. Switches of play completed 7-6, but that went Portugal's way. Set plays 5-2 in corners, and then 15-8 in free kicks because of all the fouls. Forced turnovers 37-36. So Portugal had one advantage. Pressing was applied. Let's see. So once again, this whole math thing, 85 over 218, about 35% more by Portugal than it was by Colombia. Once again, goalless draw on the books in this one. Roberto Martinez was asked a couple of things, and I want to get the date right for the first thing that he is going to be discussing. They will be approaching, and let me get the date for the next match for Portugal. They will be approaching, and I think it might even be on the same day. They are going to be, so it's the day before. Next match for Portugal is on Thursday in Toronto against Croatia. On Friday, this upcoming Friday, it will be the first anniversary of the unfortunate passing of Diogo Jota. So Roberto Martinez was asked, with that date coming up, his thoughts basically never wandering too far from Diogo Jota. But it was back last July 3rd. Jota and his brother were in a car crash in Zamora, Spain, and they were returning to Liverpool for preseason training. He'd undergone minor lung surgery in Portugal before getting married. Medical advice not to fly. Planned to return to England via ferry, leaving from Santander, Spain. They were driving to catch the ferry when, according to the Spanish Civil Guard, car suffered a tire blowout, overtaking another vehicle on a motorway. Car veers off the road and catches fire, and the crash occurs. Both men pass at the scene, 25 and 28 respectively. And so there were other parts attached to it in the expert report, but the bottom line was that there was a tire blown and excessive speeds, and both Diogo Jota and his brother pass on. The accident happens on July 3rd, and they were diagnosed as passing at the scene. So that you're coming up on this anniversary. And they'll be playing the day after the first anniversary of the passing of Diogo Jota. So the first question that Roberto Martinez is asked is about that date. So I just wanted to give you a little context about what he was talking to. Then the second question that comes from the press conference has to do with Cristiano Ronaldo. And you really don't travel far from that particular conversation. And so the question that is asked of Roberto Martinez after the Diogo Jota question has to do with the relative fitness of Cristiano Ronaldo. And Roberto Martinez, frankly, wasn't having it. He was not. He was not having this conversation about the question about Cristiano Ronaldo, relative fitness, playing in all these 90 minutes and that kind of a thing. Played 270 minutes at the age of 41. And so the question goes to Cristiano Ronaldo about Cristiano Ronaldo and his fitness heading into the knockout stage. Just so you know, 35 touches for Cristiano Ronaldo, played the full 90, XG of 0.13, passing 22 of 27, had one shot on target, had two blocks. And that one shot obviously on target. And so it was two touches in the opposition box, two passes into the final third, one time dispossessed. He was called offside twice. He had three recoveries, 1-2 of 4 duels, was fouled twice, and he committed a foul. So you had a first match in the group stage where Cristiano Ronaldo had 25 touches, 3 shots, none of them go into the net. Then you have the effort that he had in match day 2, and in front of 64,478, you have the results that happened in match day 3. And so, once again, with questioning being what questioning is, and the looping of thought patterns, if it's bad, you ask a bad question. Good, you ask a good question several days later. Bad, you ask a bad question several days later. And so that's where the assembled media were when it came to Roberto Martinez. And so those are the two questions that you're going to hear from his post-match press conference. Goalless draw, they advance. They're the 2 behind Colombia. And so here's Roberto Martinez after the match with those 2 particular topics. I just felt it was important to set up what you were going to hear in back-to-back questions before we played it. So here's Roberto Martinez after the match and the goalless draw.
I think obviously every day is difficult. When you are training, there are always moments that Diogo Jota comes back into our memories. So I wouldn't say that the anniversary needs to be especially difficult. I would say that is a little bit of a celebration. I think we need to honor Diogo Jota. I think it's a moment to cherish that everything we started in this team started with him. We won the Nations League with him. He's probably the sign and the light of the biggest stimulation that we have. We want to win the World Cup for him. And I think the anniversary is just a moment that it makes the game to be the Diogo Jota's game. Not a difficult moment. I think the difficulty is every day when it's not there physically, but when it's with us, we are a stronger team. And probably moments like this that you don't win a game, and the reference of having his desire, his belief, is always very clear in our presence.
Hi, Roberto. It's Mark Cogley from ESPN. I just asked you about Cristiano. He's 41 years. Cristiano, he's 41 years old now, and he's played every minute of every game so far. Messi's been rested by Argentina tonight. Haaland was rested by Norway. Are you ever tempted to say, for the benefit of the tournament, just to make sure he lasts it, that you rest him, or are you just happy that he plays every minute?
I think obviously we don't compare players in our team with other players to make decisions. I think that would be quite childish and very unprofessional. I can tell you that we monitor all the information that we get live during the games, and obviously what we do in between training. There is always an opportunity. Today we use João Neves' energy for 45 minutes and use Ruben Neves for 45 minutes. We use Diogo Dalot and João Cancelo. There are different positions on the pitch that they need different needs, and we monitor that down to the detail. Cristiano is used to be in the right place, in the right time. It's more a question of mentally being strong and always being disciplined in his position and opening space for our attacking patterns. So there is no an issue physically or mentally for Cristiano in today's game to play the 90 minutes. Maybe the next game we need to make a change, but that's like any other player. We follow the information. There is information between games. There are players that they got knocks. There are players that they play with little injuries. There are players that they are free. There are players that they had a great period. So all that information is important for us to use all the players. As I said, we use 21 players, outfield players. So we do share the minutes, but we're looking at different qualities that they can bring on the pitch.
Roberto Martinez after the match, yeah, he wasn't having it. And understandably so. I mean, on one front, obviously, as we've been discussing, and Casey White brought to the table after match day one in the group, I think that right now, Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 41 is still incredibly talented, and he is doing what we have known him to do in the Saudi Pro League. But I think you can make a correlation between league play and output and opponent and output. What I mean by that is this. In the Saudi Pro League, I'm gonna grab the statistics here. And the Saudi Pro League in and of itself, let's see, international ranking. So let me do it this way. And it was from our friends, I think it was Kurt Badenhausen and our friends at Sportico that came up with this, and they were a part of the discussion. So Global Football Rankings came out with the top leagues across the board. And Global Football Rankings has the Saudi Pro League as the number 36 league on the planet, with a rating of 75.1, with Al Hilal being the top team. And Al Hilal didn't even win in 25. They did not win the Saudi Pro. So looking at Al Hilal, they're ranked number 75 in the world when it comes to individual clubs. So for Al Hilal to be the number 75 team in the world in the number 36 league in the world, they're beating Al Qadsiya, who's ranked 94th, Al Aqli, who's ranked 101, Al Nasser, who won the league, is ranked 116, Al Ittihad 367. You see the drop off? Al Ettifaq at 430, Al Tawun at 499, Al Khulud at 670, Damak at 696, and Al Shabab at 739. You have one team that is ranked above 100 other than yourselves in that league. And so you finish at 25-9. You score 85 goals. You've got a goal difference of plus 58, 16 clean sheets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have Al Hilal in the Saudi Pro League taking care of business because that's what they're supposed to do. And so you have Cristiano Ronaldo in that league taking care of business because of what he's supposed to do. So if you look at Al Hilal in the Saudi Pro, player stats on the year, Karim Benzema, once again, 17 and 19. And then you have, Al Nasser. That's a part of the discussion. They win the league. And they're not even the top-ranked team in the league when it comes to power rankings. Cristiano Ronaldo scored 28 goals in the league. Joao Felix scored 20 and 13. So Al Nasser wins the league. They're not even the highest-ranked team in the power rankings in the Saudi Pro. Joao Felix goes 20 and 13. Cristiano Ronaldo goes 28 and 2. You're taking care of business, you're taking care of business in your park against the competition that is there. So in the group stage, when you look at Portugal here in the World Cup, you transfer that information over. So in this group that Portugal was in, you're looking at a group that had Colombia, DR Congo, and Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan gave up 11 goals in the tournament. DR Congo gave up 3. Colombia and Portugal, once again. So Colombia gives up 1 goal. DR Congo gives up 3 goals. Uzbekistan gives up 11. I think you can extrapolate and sit there and say that Cristiano Ronaldo did what he was supposed to do as striker, as the 9 for Portugal in the Uzbekistan match. Hamstrung with 25 touches in the first match, had 35 touches in the third match. But in the draw with DR Congo, 25 touches, 16 in the first half, 9 in the second, took 3 shots in the second half, none on target. Then against Uzbekistan, took care of business, did what he was supposed to do, did what we know him to do. But then, once again, against Colombia, who was the top team in the group, 35 touches and nothing happens on the board. And so we're naturally drawn to this idea of, okay, if Portugal draws or loses and nothing happens with Cristiano Ronaldo, that it's bad for Cristiano Ronaldo. It's good when he takes the whooping stick to Uzbekistan, and it's bad once again when you don't do well against Colombia. And I think you're kind of selling those teams in match week 1 and match week 3 short a little bit in the group stage. But Cristiano Ronaldo can still do it against levels of competition at the age of 41. But when the defenses get tighter, right now, he's a drag. And it's not there isn't the level of contribution that you're seeing against higher quality competition. So I guess that was my major point. And it will be up to him to find ways to contribute in the knockouts going forward and learn from what happened in match week 1 and match week 3 as Portugal wants to continue to progress in this tournament. So, against certain levels of competition, Cristiano Ronaldo doing what we've known Cristiano Ronaldo to do even at the age of 41. The tougher the competition, the tougher it is for him to get untracked and for him to put numbers on the board. But there's a direct correlation there's seeming to be made by members of the media that he might be tired or what have you. I'm looking at it straight from a numbers perspective. And if Roberto Martinez feels that Cristiano Ronaldo is not contributing and that they need to have something done in a different way to advance in the tournament, that will be the big question. That was the question that we brought up with KCD after match week 1. Do you make that change? Because against quality competition in Group K, 25 touches, no shots on target, draw. 35 touches, no goals on the board, draw. Against Uzbekistan, obviously, then he gets the numbers that he gets. But I don't think that there is a correlation, especially with the physios and the attention that he makes to his diet and such. I don't think that there is you're going to be monitoring Cristiano Ronaldo as Cristiano Ronaldo. Going back to Roberto Martinez's point, we're not going to compare him to a Messi when it comes to rest. We're not going to compare him to Haaland when it comes to rest. We're going to use our own physios and numbers and equation crunching, and et cetera, to find out whether or not we need to have him playing or not. One of the most physically fit human beings at the age of 41, I'm sure that any of us have ever come across. So it's going to be up to Cristiano Ronaldo and the physios as to if he's good enough for 90 minutes. But it will be up to the coaching staff to figure out if he's going to be there starting and where it goes. So the idea that they were trying to draw some kind of a correlation between one or the other is, it's an unfair comparison. Teams have their own ideas when it comes to their star players and what they can do and manage. I think it's more of a question of getting him untracked and figuring out his usage position-wise, as we saw in match week 1, trying to get yourself engaged, and you were colliding with other teammates and thought patterns and such. So it's two separate conversations that folks are trying to conflate into one, and Roberto Martinez wasn't having it. Understandably so. I think the larger question is, what can Cristiano Ronaldo do and where can you put him to have the best output for Portugal going forward? If you have him at the 9, then what do you do? Does he turn into a distraction and draw folks to him to where you have others eventually open? We'll find out on a case-by-case basis as Portugal tries to work their way through the tournament. And like I said, the bracket, we'll look at the bracket. It's going to be fun to see how things continue to orient going forward. So that was Group K. Group K wrapped up at top at 1 and 2, Colombia, Portugal, 7 points and 5 points. So going into the 3 versus 4 in Group K with DR Congo and Uzbekistan. DR Congo needed a win. They were at 1 point with 1 draw. They needed a win because then that would put them at 4 points. That would put them at the top of the discussion when it comes to determining top teams finishing in the 8 that would advance to the knockouts. 1 point, 2 matches. It was the draw with Portugal. They would lose to Colombia 1-0. So once again, tight defensively. Then Uzbekistan came in. Once again, they had given up 3 to Colombia in round number 1, in match number 1, and then they gave up 5 to Portugal in match number 2. So if Uzbekistan and Fabio Cannavaro was going to do anything, it was going to be upsetting the apple cart, and DR Congo would not be getting in. So any kind of a result, if it was a draw, both of them were out. If it's a win for Uzbekistan, both of them are out. If it's a win for DR Congo, that's what they needed to advance, and it would take them a while. early out of the blocks, you end up with an opportunity in the first 30 seconds, and you've got to give Fabio Cannavaro and Uzbekistan a lot of credit. Much like Haiti in match day 3, it was just Katie bar the door. We're going to come running at you. And we're going to try and run you into the ground. Chance in the first 30 seconds. Shomurodov had a chance in the 10th minute. And then that would put it on the board in Uzbekistan's favor. So you get that goal, chipping the keeper from the left. 1-0. You had an opportunity in the 17th to equalize, and it was no goal still in the 17th from there. And so Uzbekistan in the first 45, they were making it difficult for DR Congo offensively. Pressing at them, running at them the whole time. And it would take a while for DR Congo to kind of get things all reoriented. And it would be in a moment in the 66th where you would have Johan Vissa going inside the 18, and then he would get upended, and he would take the penalty himself to try to equalize. And it was an easy call for Felix Dwyer of New Zealand. But it would be an opportunity for Johan Vissa to close the door himself, and he would do just that. And here is once again that goal, the Vissa PK that would equalize things, DR Congo and Uzbekistan, brought to us by our friends at Telemundo Deportes. 66th minute, so 24 to go, and it was an opportunity for Johan Vissa from the spot to equalize.
La indicación de Felix Dwyer. Wissa le pegó. ¡Gol! De República Democrática del Congo al 68 y de penal Johan Wissa 1-1.
Con mucha paciencia, aguanta hasta último momento y luego el contacto fue muy bueno.
So Vissa would get the PK to make it 1-1. And I'm just going to leave the lower third up because that's where the highlights are coming from. So it's 1-1. Vissa does a bit of a stutter step, gets the keeper to jump to his right as Vissa plants his right foot and has that bit of hesitation. So the keeper goes, Nematov goes to his right, Vissa goes to where Nematov was not, and it's tied up at 1. Then in the 78th minute, you end up with a substitution back in the 70th, and it was an opportunity for DR Congo to get some fresh legs up top. And they certainly did that. Fiston Mayele came in the 70th minute, I believe. And it was an opportunity for him 8 minutes later to get the equalizer. And it was, once again, a great piece of imagination as he's going to his left. He's going to the near post. Nematov comes out to try and defend it, and Mayele just kind of pops it up over. Nematov goes into the net to make it 2-1. And then once again, you have Uzbekistan chasing and chasing and chasing. And at 90+1, Johan Vissa puts the game away with a brace. Here is that call from our friends at Telemundo Deportes.
¿Cuánto más vamos a jugar, Pablo? Mayele. Remate cruzado de Mayele. Sigue en juego, la va a rescatar por aquel sector. Sí, señor, la va a rescatar Elia. A tocar para Wissa en el área. Wissa la comparte. De derecha le pegó. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! De República Democrática del Congo. Al minuto 91. La figura. Johan Wissa. Doblete. 3-1.
And it was a double. 3-1 would be the eventual final score. And Vissa, shocking no one, man of the match on the DR Congo side, punched an 8.9. Striker from Newcastle, took the most shots with 6, joint most touches with 7 inside the opponent's 18. XG of 1 1/3, XGOT 1.39. 17 and 19 passing at 89%, 2 shots on target, 4 off target, obviously shooting accuracy at 2 of 6. 40 touches, had the one big chance missed, 7 touches inside the 18, 4 passes into the final third, dispossessed 3 times. Defensively, he did have a contribution, had 1 clear. It was cleared with his head, 3 recoveries. Duels, he was 3 of 8 on the ground on the day, fouled 3 times, and that would be the difference in the 3-1 win. After the match, Johan Vissa was asked about the match in and of itself and what he thought about this piece of history. And so here is Johan Vissa in the mix zone after the match.
Yes, it's been such a crazy game. We started very badly, very poorly. I think it's because of the weight of our shoulders. But after the goal, we managed to just stay calm, keep the heads up. And after that, at the halftime, the manager changed some positioning. And I think we had so many chances to score more goals. But the penalty came at the right time. And when you have the penalty, you have to score. It's not easy, especially at this moment. But when I scored the penalty and we scored the second goal, at this moment I knew that we're gonna win. But yeah, I scored the third goal, so yeah, I'm so proud. I'm so proud, and so tonight we're gonna try to enjoy, and that's true. That's England next. It's gonna be a different game, a tough game against a top player, top opponent. We need to enjoy this kind of game. We deserve to play against England, one of the best teams in the world. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what's coming next.
Looking forward to what's going to be next. Johan Vissa after the double. 3-1, DR Congo advances. And once again, the win put them at 4 points. It was just going to be a matter of where they were going to be in the third-place teams. And so the math would have it that they are going to stay here, and they're going to be facing England in the midweek, noon Eastern time on Wednesday. So DR Congo over Uzbekistan. And then after the match, Fabio Cannavaro was asked about the run that his team was on here in the tournament and what he thought about the match in and of itself. And so here is the Uzbekistan head coach Fabio Cannavaro after the match in the evening press conference at Atlanta Stadium.
The first half we spend a lot of energy. Because in the modern football, if you want to be intensive for 90 minutes, of course it's difficult. Since we arrived here, we try to improve our players, and to be honest, until today, our physical performance was good. But also today, because we're starting very well, how we prepare the game. They compete, they try to score first, second goal. But the problem, we stopping to play. And I told them, if we don't control the ball, because the first time, I told them even the first time after 3 against 1, we want to shoot the long ball. 5 against 3, we want to shoot the long ball. Like that is difficult. Because you lose energy, you lose confidence, and of course the team you have in front is physical, is very strong, and in the second half, they after the first our mistakes, the first one, we consider the penalty. But I'm happy because they show what we can do. So for me, it was really important today, this kind of performance. Of course, the three goals is too much. I don't. Even if I draw, I don't feel good. Imagine with the 3 defeats. So, and I feel sorry for them because they deserve to have a different result.
Fabio Cannavaro after the match. And Uzbekistan, you give them an immense amount of credit for what they were able to do. Very young team. and to get the opportunity to learn from Fabio Cannavaro to take that gig and bring them to this point of the world stage, you get to learn some things. And I think that's the one of the larger notions to take from this. I know that there are some folks that are going to want to ish over an expanded field of 48 teams. And I get that. I would ish over it more, and you know it's coming, when it gets to 64. You're going to hear the whole thing about, oh, it's like, the basketball tournament and all this kind of stuff. 48, I was initially skeptical. But in teams 33 through 48, you had some opportunities to expand your knowledge base. And we'll get into the percentages and the folks for the teams that were submitted and the regions and their percentages heading into the knockouts here. But for every, and I won't say for every, but for in our discussions and learning about the tournament in and of itself, you were surprised by a Cabo Verde, you were surprised by a DR Congo, unless, of course, you were probably our friend Ali Howarth, who gets to see all this firsthand. They come up and bite folks. It's a shock of shocks. But then you have an Uzbekistan who comes in after qualifying through Asia, and they end up with 3 straight losses. So there is this give and take in our informational set where some regions are expanded and their number of clubs are expanded into the World Cup, where we're reminded about growth of certain parts of the planet, and then there are others where we're reminded that growth still needs to occur. But Uzbekistan and Fabio Cannavaro love the fact that they were here in the tournament, and they are as much a personification of the expanded field in a good way as it is from what we saw from the teams from the African continent. So big props to Fabio Cannavaro. And by the way, there was this concern of butts in seats. Don't know what it was going to look like. But you end up with, once again, another sellout at Atlanta Stadium, 68-239. And like I said, there might have been empty seats. There might have been some singles here and there. But it was a packed house. And it was a packed house from the second they opened the gates. I think it was 2.5 hours before the match started. So 5 o'clock was when they opened the gates. Place was packed. Both fan bases represented well. They embraced each other. The neutrals were in the building. I saw folks wearing Colombia jerseys and Mexico jerseys and U.S. jerseys as much as I saw DR Congo represented and I saw Uzbekistan represented. And that's the other coolness part of this. FanFest once again in Decatur, jammed. FanFest downtown, forget about it. Attendance figures through the roof. Once again, reminding a lot of folks worldwide what Atlanta brings to the table when it comes to a tournament like this. All the infrastructure squared away. I know a lot of folks might have been concerned going in about numbers and access and all of that. You can't get a ticket. You got to sit there and apply ahead of time, but you cannot get a ticket to go in. And if you want to be with 25,000 of your new best friends, then that's where you go. You want to be with 5,000 of your new best friends, go to Decatur. You want to go to your favorite watch fest around the corner, go for it. Obviously, those are the big two that folks gravitate toward here in the Atlanta area. But I think it speaks a lot to what it brings to the table. And it's been fun to see what we knew here in this footprint and what the rest of the world is learning. Morning, Abby. We celebrated, Frank, and Abby brings to the table the question of the birthdays. Since mine was Wednesday and she was out of town on business, and I had the match last night, she had a day yesterday where she went and got full massage, and she just kind of got to have a day to calm down, considering that she was in DC on business for the first half of the week. And we celebrated collectively our birthday. We kind of split the difference and had it Friday night. So we did our thing Friday night. We went to our restaurant. We did our thing because of Wednesday, Patty coming back into town, and then yesterday, me being downtown. We found a date in the middle, and it was Friday. So 25.5/26, that was when we celebrated. And today we're probably going to just do it by not doing a bunch of anything. And we'll get into what we're watching later today. It's going to be Canada and South Africa. We're going to hear from them in a bit. Yeah, and Abby, this was one of the things that, and Abby brings up a point about the fan fests. Atlanta is having to do their own publicity and put out their own photos because for whatever reason, outside of the coverage that we give it here in this footprint, it's Kansas City and 3 others in a quad box. No offense to Kansas City and our friend Nate Bacady, but I think if you were looking for great visuals, you would look at the Fan Fest downtown in Atlanta and see it's wall-to-wall people, and that would be just as good a representation. You should add that to your stacks, but for whatever reason, it is not in the quad box from the local United States rights holder. Like I said, I don't know what goes into the thought patterns of it, but not seeing Atlanta in a quad box, and Abby, yeah, they are in the P&L district, and so it's probably the size of, and if I extrapolate here a little bit, it might be a little bigger than, it might be 10,000, I'm thinking. I'm just trying to sit there and compare it to the visual I have of Decatur and apply it to what we're seeing at the P&L district in Kansas City. I mean, don't get me wrong. Great visuals. The fact that they had 4 teams in the area. What we saw from Lawrence, Kansas, we're referencing our friend Daniel Sperry from the Kansas City Star. So, you know, that's the part of the prerogative. And, well, and that's the other thing. The international feed, this is one of the things that has also come up. Abby's going with the director thing. I think that in half times and pre and post, the local rights holders have their own cameras and they can go in their own places should they see fit. And that's what you're seeing in the quad boxes with crowd graphics and such. I don't know if the HBS, the host broadcast service, has a camera in, as a matter of fact, I don't know that HBS has a camera in the Atlanta Fan Fest. That would be another question, because if they don't even have a camera there, then you can't show it. But to Abby's point, it is a director choice from what's available, and the international broadcast, the host broadcast service is punching out the game feed, and the rights holders do not have their own game punchers in trucks. They are at the mercy of the host broadcast feed, and if the host broadcast feed / FIFA sits there and sees Edward Norton and Brad Pitt having a conversation in Los Angeles, that's where they go instead of focusing on the action, which is, I think, selling your soccer audience short. And I don't know if the host broadcast service allows for local rights holders, if they want to invest in a product, to have their own truck, their own crew, and their own punching. You're at the mercy of the host broadcast service here. So whatever the folks in Switzerland have done in assembling their crew, you're at the mercy of that. And so FIFA has stuff that they mandate, and I know you're bringing up the commercials, but FIFA has stuff that they mandate in their broadcast. That's why you sign the deal on the line, which is dotted, so you can broadcast the matches and broadcast all the content. There is FIFA mandated content. FIFA gets X number of spots with their products and their prime grade A sponsors, you got to run those. That's part of the deal. But the host broadcast service and their punching of the game and the crowd shots, I don't care about Paris Hilton. I don't care about Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. I don't care about the celebs. I really don't. But you're at the mercy of what FIFA and their host broadcast service are punching on the broadcast. And so you'll hear, no matter where you are, you will hear the broadcasters kind of talk their way through it. And you'll still have action going on. So you're at the mercy of the host broadcast service for a lot of this. and Abby's looking for the underdog, understandably so. No, trust me, I get it. The host broadcast service is not winning a whole lot of folks with their choices of showing celebrities. And you would have thought that in Los Angeles, you would have been able to do something other than Paris Hilton in her rhinestone-y jersey. But once again, it's stuff that you were discussing as a part of the host broadcast service. And if it's mandated, or if you want to go, yeah, okay, then you've got to do this, then maybe that can help you out in another place. So, but that's where you are. You're at the mercy of the host broadcast service for a lot of this. Since the rights holders in each of the countries don't have their own in-game production crews like we see in other events. The Beckham commercials, once again, Gary, probably have to pull that drop. But yeah, you're at the mercy of FIFA and the HBS at that point. So that's kind of where we are. Okay. So that was Fabio Cannavaro after the match, and you got to hear from Johan Vissa, and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to mark down everything as we go. So then that meant that you had 2 matches on the board that were your night side matches. And before we get into that, since we're after the top of the hour, I think it's time for a hydration break. Brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. 2 locations, Johns Creek and Cobb Parkway. Once again, thanks for letting us come and hang out in your locations and talk to folks and do shows from there. So hydrate, people. Hydration break. Brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, 2 locations, Johns Creek and Cobb Parkway, and in the Cumberland area. Thanks for being great new partners and new friends with us here in 2026. Local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores. Man, those places are stacked, too. You can pretty much get anything, maybe short of a Neptunian vodka. Because when I did the remote at Cumberland a couple weeks ago, it was like 2 stories, and they had a lot of stuff. I am not a person who partakes, mind you, but they had a lot of stuff. Really had a lot of stuff. So local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, thanks for hanging out with us and being great partners with us here at SDH. Okay, night side, the true night side. Sun is set. You got the 2 matches to go to figure out where we're going from here. And in those, it was Algeria and Austria and Argentina and Jordan. Let's go to Dallas first, because to the point that we had earlier with Roberto Martinez, it was an opportunity to rest some folks. And they did exactly that. It was Lionel Scaloni. They had a chance to rotate their lineup, and they did. And going into the matchup against Jordan, where everything was pretty much decided in the group, Argentina wins group, and it's where you go from there. Giovanni Lo Celso scores in the 19th. Lautaro Martinez got a penalty in the 31st. It was 2-0 at the break. Then you end up with a goal from Tamari, and that gave it 2-1. So Musa Tamari scores in the second half. It's 2-1. 9 minutes in, he gets a goal. 55th minute, 2-1. So then 30 to go, in front of a crowd of 70,649 at Jerry World. That meant that Lionel Messi was coming in as a substitute. Your starting lineup, just so you know, it was Martinez in net, Tagliafico, Senesi, Otamendi, who wore the captain's armband, and Palacios. Paredes was your 6, your midfield, Lo Celso, Nico Paz, and Simeone, and your two strikers up top were Martinez and Alvarez. You had a triple change in 60 minutes with Alexis, Thiago Almada, and Lionel Messi. Valentin Barco would come in with 20 to go. Jose Lopez would come in with 8 to go. But Messi comes in, and in 30 minutes, he had 28 touches. A couple of XG numbers out there. 17 to 21 passing, 2 chances created, 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target, 1 shot on target. Once again, 28 touches, 1 for 3 crosses, 3 passes in the final third, 1 accurate long ball hit at spot, 4 corners. Defensively, he was there with it, and he won his only ground duel on the day. But that's not why we're talking about Lionel Messi. Messi had another one of those moments, 10 minutes to go, 2-1 game, and you end up with this moment from Messi, and we're going to have fun with this one. First and foremost, here's the version from our friends at Telemundo Deportes and FIFA.
El arquero de Jordania está regalando un poquito más el lado izquierdo. Lionel Messi, aquí está la pulga biónica, golazo.
Parecido a lo que ocurrió en el primer tiempo. Floja respuesta de Yacid. Una pelota que ingresa casi por el centro del arco, pero con el arquero tapado y a contrapierna. No tiene reacción. Una vez que da el paso hacia su izquierda, está totalmente burlado.
So that was the Telemundo version. And when you look at it from behind the goal, and when you look at it from behind Messi, you take the 2 end zone shots. And none of this surprises. But Messi, as the wall is in front of him, they're kind of shading to the far post. But there is a gap between the end of the wall and the player that is detached from the wall for Jordan. So literally you have, I think it was 4 or 5 on the wall. You had the edge of the wall. Then you had a couple of feet. And then you had a Jordan player who was detached from the wall. Messi goes into that gap and puts enough of a curve on it. And you see his body reaction as he swings through it with the left. And you see him kind of lean, and then he starts to lean hard. And so Messi was putting the draw on that tee shot, goes in between the space of the wall and the lone defender who was detached. And the keeper looked like the keeper was leaning left a little bit, and then it goes absolutely past, and it goes into the back of the net. So once again, sun rises in the east. We pay our taxes April 15th. Messi scores off a set piece from about 19 out. Here is the Football de Primera version from our friends there at FDP Radio, and Diego Pesolano is on the call. And let's just say, no real surprises here, mind you, but let's just say Diego Pesolano, slightly excited.
Los jordanos se replegaron mucho para querer marcarlo siempre a él, y eso contagió al equipo a perder pelota. Por ahí se premia con este tiro libre.
Este es el recurso que genera, ¿no? Los tiros libres ahí peligrosos, ideales para él, los genera él mismo, ¿no? Estos tiros libres.
La pelota que ya la acomodó Lionel. Le va a pegar Messi. Está Paredes cerca, pero solamente para ser un testigo de lo que va a ocurrir, porque el remate no se lo va a quitar nadie al 10. La barrera bien parada, el árbitro que da la orden, corta carrera de Messi, va Messi, le pegó.
hizo Messi desde el cielo donde mira el 10. Está el Dios Maradona y su mejor discípulo en la tierra, Messi, el hombre que mejor interpreta la relación pelota-arco de tiro libre, marca su sexto gol en la Copa del Mundo, sigue sorprendiendo a todos en el universo, más que en la tierra, en todo el universo, no tiene freno, no tiene techo, es una galaxia en sí mismo. Lionel de tiro libre dice que Argentina le gana a Jordania 3-1.
Told you Diego Pesolano was excited. That's from our friends at FTP, Football de Primera, where we get to catch up and we get to listen to our friend Sammy Dovnik do some of the matches, but Diego Pesolano was on that one. And I told you, I said, Diego Pesolano, slightly excited, understandably so. And so you end up with the set piece, and you end up with the draw with the left from Lionel Messi. 3-1 your final. And once again, shocking no one that you would have a moment like that with Lionel Messi on the board. So that was the Football de Primera version with Diego Pesolano on the call, and the Telemundo Deportes version that was there as well. So that was getting us to the last matchup to talk about. And it had its bits of chaos too. And you know, nothing like a game out west, well, in the Midwest for Algeria. And for reference, our friend Daniel Sperry at the Kansas City Star did an article about and I want to get this I want to get this correct, and it has to do with an article that Daniel put together for the Kansas City Star, having to do with the history that is attached to this particular matchup as it was going in Austria and Algeria. And we'll get you into the match in and of itself. And if you go to Daniel's timeline, Sperry Daniel 94 on the Twitter, it was one of those matches that you really need. If you have a way to go back and watch matches, I would say, in addition to the beginning of the knockouts, since this happened as one of the two late matches last night, if you have a way to go back and watch this one, go back and watch this one. So for the Kansas City Star, going back to a story from 1982, the disgrace of Gijón, and it has to do with Algeria. And they were looking for, the Algerian fans, they were looking for something that would have them have the chance to forget what happened in 1982. And what happened in 1982, winner gets second, the loser gets third. And you could have ended up with and depending on how things fell out, you could have had a better matchup if you finished third in the group. But then also, once again, depending on goals and margins and things like that, you could have been bumped out entirely. But going back 44 years, the disgrace of Gijón in 1982. This was in Spain. Algeria was in a group with West Germany, Austria, and Chile. Algeria beat West Germany in match number 1, lost to Austria in match day 2. So it was winner go home against Chile. Algerians won it 3-2, becoming the first African nation to win 2 matches in a World Cup. And that match was played the day prior to Austria and West Germany's match day last. You kind of see where I might be going here. So June 25, 1982, West Germany and Austria go on the field in Gijon. Germans score 10 minutes into the match. And as Daniel recounts, Scottish referee Bob Valentine told The Athletic in 2024 that after the next 10 minutes, he, quote, started getting a bad feeling. The 1-0 win for West Germany would mean that both Austria and West Germany would advance at Algeria's expense. George Vesey, the venerable columnist for the New York Times, he was there in Gijon, and his column said, quote, "It is impossible to prove that the two teams worked in tandem," but he also said the match itself worked as evidence. Quote, "West Germany made more kicks backward than forward after its goal. Austria, having nothing to lose by a 1-0 defeat except pride, sacrificed all that by not attempting to penetrate the West German ring around the rosy." For American fans to understand the slowdown employed in the match, picture North Carolina's basketball team going into its four-corner stall after 10 minutes of a tournament game to help the opposition advance also. And there was another incident that happened later in the tournament that caused FIFA to do what they do now with group stage games. Match day last in group, you go off simultaneously. So you don't have matches staggered by a day, so you don't tank, so you don't sit there and, act unaccordingly to what people are used to seeing. That's why, because of what happened 44 years ago, involving Algeria and Austria and the disgrace of Gijon, that's why we have match day last as match day last in its structure. So Algeria and Austria in Arrowhead for the last group stage matches in their group had all of this context attached to it going back to 1982. And for your required reading, it's Daniel's piece about the impact that it had, meaning back in 1982. And what could have happened in a matchup at Arrowhead in match day 3 with these two sides. And so Daniel does a great deep dive into the residents that are there who are of Algerian descent who live in Kansas now, and what it meant to the entire fan base that he was able to touch leading into this matchup. And so the thought was posed by Daniel, could Algeria exact revenge? Any chance at revenge against those who participated, obviously with players in their 60s or older? Could you have had a disgrace of Kansas City? Draw between the two would see likely. I was going to say likely both, and tried to jam the words together. Likely both go through to the knockouts. Depending on the results, third place might not advance. Algeria had a goal difference of -2. A win would mean second for either team. Third place could get a weaker opponent. Second place would most likely get Spain. This is leading into it. This is what Daniel wrote leading into the match. And so those that were in the 80s, that were of a football enjoying age in the 80s, it was an opportunity for these two teams to go at it again to see what would happen last day in the group stage. And then you had a match that was absolutely crazy. No shock there. So in Group J, you're trying to determine who's going to be the 2 and the 3. So you end up with Marko Arnautovic scoring in the 28th to make it 1-0. Then in the 45th, Rafik Belgali scores for Algeria 1-1. Marcel Sabitzer scores in the 55th to make it 2-1 Austria. Riyad Mahrez scores in the 60th to make it 2-2. And so if you have, like I said, if you have the capability to go back and watch this match, tell you what, I'll cut you a deal. Go back and watch the last 30 minutes plus stoppage time. It's 2-2 at that point. And yeah, I know I'm going to spoil a bit of the ending here, but go back and watch the final 30 minutes and then the added time, the stoppage time, because of just how off the rails it got. You get into the 90 minutes. Then you end up with a moment at 90 plus 3. Riyad Mahrez takes control, and you end up with this moment that you're thinking to myself, yeah, Riyad Mahrez, he's the man. We've seen him do it before in a bunch of different places. So Riyad Mahrez takes control north of 90 minutes.
Así llegamos al minuto 3. No puede hacerse el cambio porque la pelota no ha abandonado el terreno de juego. No ha habido ninguna falta y me imagino que no habrá. Ahí está la pelota filtrada. Va a venir el remate. ¡Mamita querida! Argelia va a pasar y Australia va a quedar eliminado. Australia avanzó. ¡Qué noche! Un gol que marca Riyad Karim Mahrez, un gol que marca el 3-2 que vengará a el verde de lo sufrido en la eliminación de 1982. ¡Un gol! Riyad Karim Mahrez, 3-2.
Era todo producto de la trampa en la cual cayeron los australianos.
Riyad Karim Mahrez. And you heard the announcer reference 1982. Play-by-play announcer references 1982 in the goal call. So it's 3-2. And half of the building is beside itself for one reason, and the other half of the building is beside itself for another reason. Not to be outdone. This happens at 90 plus 6. And at the end of the play, it's Said Kolasinac, once again, brought to us by our friends at Telemundo Deportes and FIFA.
Lo glorioso que tiene el fútbol. Parecía que estaba muerto el partido, pero no, más vivo que nunca.
Aún le queda uno a Dustin. La pelota no sale. El cabezazo. ¡Mamita querida! ¡Austria está de regreso! ¡Un gol! ¡De Sasa Kalajdzic! ¡Un gol! ¡Gracias! ¡Thank you! ¡Dankeschön! ¡Merci! ¡Vaya noche! ¡Adentro sigue Austria junto con Argelia!
3-3. That would be how it finished. But yeah, you had a goal at 90 plus 3, and then you had a goal at 90 plus 6. And so you had Algeria and Austria go the distance and have absolute chaos and great presence of mind to keep the ball in play to begin with. And Kolasinac gets the header from the end line, puts it in the net, 3-3. You would have had the draw. Then it's stoppage time. Stoppage time. Things get just absolutely crazy. I don't think anybody anticipated that it would be what it was. Oliver Kay from The Athletic had some of the numbers. 65th minute to the 91st, Algeria completed 279 out of 282. Austria 80 of 85. Only 2 shots attempted. Draw gets both teams through. And so everybody was kind of thinking back at 1982 and the disgrace of Gijon. Then in stoppage time, you end up with what we saw from what it ended up with, Mahrez and Kalajdzic. Ralph Rangnick said it was a Hollywood ending. Been a coach for more than 40 years. I don't remember a game that had such a dramatic course and such an unexpected trajectory. If Alfred Hitchcock, well, he didn't have anything to do with football, but if he'd written such a drama, I would have said he was completely mad. And so Oliver Kay did his part to talk about 1982. Rangnick and his Algerian counterpart, Vladimir Petkovic. Once again, this was not like 82 because you had two teams going after it from 90 plus. First 60 minutes, you're like, yeah, kind of looked that way. But then in the 90s, Petkovic said, not that his team had played for a draw, but that at 2 each midway through the second half, quote, for about 15 minutes, there was a time where both teams were a little bit passive. My idea is always to play in order to win, but it helps to win with your brain, with intelligence, and being smart about it. I think certain behaviors are quite natural. It happens in football. It's part of football, but there was a strong will to win, end quote. And then Ralph Rangnick said, I don't know how it came about, the third goal. Nobody can tell me at minute 75 that in minute 93 someone would plan, oh, yes, let's score another goal. Maybe it was the thought of one or two players of Algeria, but at that point, I don't imagine that most of Algeria would have preferred to play against Spain than against Switzerland. And so Mahrez scores, Kolasinac scores. Both teams get through, but yeah, it was chaos personified. Absolutely chaos personified. So a 3-3 final. And I think this was the first time in tournament history that you had goals north of 90 plus get a go-ahead goal and a tying goal by either team in stoppage time. So you had both events happen. First time it happened north of 90, and it was in that match. Algeria gets Switzerland now. And so Vancouver's bracket, you get Switzerland and Algeria in the round of 32. So that was the chaos that happened in that group. So now we are where we are. We now have our matchups. We know what the round of 32 is going to look like. We now know who's in. We now know what it looks like. Let the chaos ensue. So here's your last 32 as we break it all down. Germany and Paraguay, mini bracket. Get the winner of France and Sweden. Gee, thanks. It's great for us, for those of us that get to watch it. But we'll go over it first as it's laid out in the bracket, and then we'll get into times and things over the next couple days. So your grid work. Germany, Paraguay on Monday, 4:30 in the afternoon. They're in Foxborough, and they'll get the winner of France and Sweden, which is Tuesday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So 4:30 Monday, Germany and Paraguay. 5 o'clock Tuesday, France and Sweden in the Meadowlands. Winners go in Philly on July 4th. Nothing like the possibility of Germany and France going in Philly on July 4th. Mini bracket. South Africa, Canada later today. We got sound from Hugo Broos and from Jesse Marsh coming up in a bit. So South Africa and Canada at SoFi. That's this afternoon. That's your one match today. Winner of that one gets Netherlands and Morocco. That one is at the Estadio Monterrey. That one is late night Monday. Late night Monday is Netherlands and Morocco. Winner of that one gets the winner of South Africa and Canada at NRG on July 4th. And that one is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank God for the roof. Portugal and Croatia are at BMO. And that one is night side on Thursday. I'm having to subtract 5. I'm looking at the BBC bracket, and I have to subtract 5 hours for each matchup. Spain and Austria are at SoFi on July 2nd, and that one, once again, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Portugal, Croatia, Spain, and Austria. So you could have Portugal and Spain July 6th at Jerry World. U.S. Bosnia and Herzegovina, once again, that one is night side Wednesday, 8 o'clock at Levi's in Santa Clara. Winner of that one gets the winner of Belgium and Senegal. That one is in Seattle at Lumen. That one is Wednesday and 21-5. So it's afternoon, July 1st, Wednesday, Belgium and Senegal. U.S., Bosnia, Herzegovina, Belgium, and Senegal. Then that is the upper half of the bracket. So you could have a combination of Germany and France in the last 16. Canada, South Africa, Netherlands, and Morocco. You could have Spain and Portugal in the round of 16 on July 6. You could have the U.S. and Belgium. Remember what happened here. Brazil and Japan on the 29th in the afternoon at NRG. Winner of that one gets Ivory Coast and Norway. That one is at Jerry World. So the winner of those two matchups that go to the Meadowlands and they go outdoors. They're going to be there on July 5th. 21-5 is 16. So 4 o'clock in the afternoon next Sunday, it is the winner of Brazil and Japan, Ivory Coast, and Norway. Mexico plays at the Estadio Azteca against Ecuador. So you have Sebastian Becasese late Tuesday night at the Azteca taking on Mexico. Winner of that one gets the winner of England and DR Congo. That one is here in Atlanta, noon Eastern time on Wednesday. We're still trying to figure out our broadcast plans. But with noon Wednesday here in Atlanta, that's where we start. So SDH AM on Wednesday morning will be from 8 to 9:30. And then we will fight the traffic. And we will work our way in for that particular matchup. And then after that matchup is done, we'll have all of our coverage and all of that going on. Atlanta Soccer tonight from 6 to 8. Location to be determined. So the day will continue leading up to the U.S. and Bosnia and Herzegovina at Levi's on Wednesday night. So it's going to start at noon with England and DR Congo at Mercedes-Benz. Coverage with SDH, coverage with 92.9. After that's over, we'll find a place to do the pregame show from 6 to 8, get you ready for the matchup involving Bosnia and Herzegovina and the United States at Levi's. So that's Wednesday. So you may as well just lock it in, SDH, 92.9 the game, the whole day. That's what Wednesday's going to be. Then the winner of Mexico, Ecuador, England, and DR Congo will play at the Azteca. So you could have England and Mexico at the Azteca late night Sunday after playing on Monday and Wednesday. So, I mean, honestly, Mexico is going to be playing Tuesday night late. They would go to Sunday late at the Azteca, but they would stay at home. Argentina, Cabo Verde in Miami at Hard Rock. That one is 23-5, 18. Dinner time Friday. Winner of that one gets the winner of Australia and Egypt. That one's in the afternoon on Friday at Jerry World. They would play here on the 7th of July at noon to get your East Coast game in. So Argentina, Cabo Verde, Australia, Egypt, round of 16 in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz on the 7th. Then Switzerland, Algeria, late night Thursday at BC Place in Vancouver. And the winner of that one gets the winner of Colombia and Ghana. Colombia is going to have to put up with a big defensive effort from the Ghanaians. That one is at Arrowhead. So Switzerland, Algeria, Colombia, Ghana, that mini bracket goes to BC Place. And that is where Switzerland can stay as they continue to win. So that was their home base idea. And so that is the round of 32 and the round of 16. So getting you into your juice boxes in these matchups. I said the one matchup today is with South Africa and Canada. And you guys have juice box numbers. Come on now. You know, we try to, play nice. And then, of course, you sit there and you're looking for juice boxes and they don't give them to you. Come on now. Let's see. Who do we? Yeah, let's go here before they blow the thing up. All right, so South Africa and Canada is today. And right now, South Africa is a plus 475. It has gone up to that number. Draws a plus 260, 90-minute draw. And Canada is a minus 149. This is the first matchup in round 3 of the medio. So right now, next 7 days, you're going to be in the medio. This is match number 1 of that. So when I'm done here and we'll go off the air, I've got to fill out the remainder of that bracket. If I could find that sheet of paper, because I know it does exist. So the medio does exist. I needed another matchup or 2. Oh, it's over here. Wrong pad. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a tiebreaker. I needed 3 more matchups. Now with the grid full, I can do that. But the Discord, and I've got to post them. So I have to post them. But South Africa and Canada is the first match in the new week of the medio. And that's going to be posted to Discord after we're done. So that is the rundown there. Also in the knockout stage, we'll go tomorrow. We won't go too far. So you have the 3 matches tomorrow. Brazil and Spain at 1 o'clock. Brazil's a minus 149. Draw is up to plus 275. Japan is a plus 425. Brazil has won 6 of the last 7 in the head-to-head, by the way. Germany and Paraguay is at 430. And in that matchup, Paraguay is a plus 900. 90-minute draws a plus 400. Germany is now up to a minus 303. And then the late game on Monday, Netherlands and Morocco, and once again, we'll check and see as these change. The Netherlands are up to a plus 120, draws a plus 220, and the Morocco number is a plus 260. It is down to plus 260, and so that's where we are with those numbers. So today, after the chaos and the crazy, it is the matchup with South Africa and Canada, 3 o'clock this afternoon, and it is at SoFi. And apparently, according to our friend Christian Jack, the flights from Canada, specifically from Vancouver to Los Angeles, are nothing short of, the word he used was extortionate. So people are driving from Vancouver down to Los Angeles. And I have a couple of sound bites here. The first one will be from Jesse Marsh. And it's from our friends at One Soccer. And it has to do with using Alphonso Davies and his state of readiness, first off, and then using Alphonso Davies. We'll get into using Alphonso Davies as a decoy in the previous match. But here is Jesse Marsh discussing the readiness of Alphonso Davies coming into this afternoon.
You know, when Alphonso had mentioned that he wanted to bring a personal trainer to help in his rehabilitation, I was fully supportive of it, and I think it's really important, especially when you're the level of athlete that Alphonso is, having somebody who knows specifically what the demands of your body are, and I think he's been a huge help to Alphonso, and we see him now in great form and great fitness, so I think he's more than ready for tomorrow. He's a big X factor for us because he's such a big talent. He's very explosive in transition moments. He's also a good footballer, so the things that we can do, whether, and again, we've talked about using him from the left back position, which I've done more primarily with him, but then maybe also using him in the midfield, and even when we use him at left back, to really make sure that we're using him in an attacking manner so that we get the most out of him defensively and attacking wise. So there's a lot of dynamic qualities that he brings to the team that make us even better. But even more so, what I've said to him is the effect that he will have on the team being on the pitch, the belief they have in him, the belief he has in himself, I think changes the possibility of what the potential of our team is and what we can do in this tournament. So the whole idea was, can we get stronger as the tournament goes on? And as the opponents start to get tougher and tougher and the moments get bigger and bigger, how can we have our best players available, and how can we now be ready to perform at our best? And that's where we are right now.
So Jesse Marsh is more than happy having Alphonso Davies in the position that he is in as you get ready for the matchup with South Africa. And a lot of folks were getting into the idea where Jesse Marsh was discussing Alphonso Davies in match day last in the group stage, and the idea that, okay, he could be ready, we could use him in X number of minutes and this and that. And then the idea of he turned into a decoy. How many times, regardless of sport, have we seen, Stanley Cup is the number one example for me. How many times have we seen coaches in postseason tournaments, regardless of the sport, basically when they're asked about injuries, you either get a diplomatic answer, you basically get a none ya. And what I mean by that is none your damn business. So what Jesse Marsh did was play up the idea of Alphonso Davies and this and that. You're not going to give, especially in a tournament that is as important as this one is to a national team, why should you give any kind of ammunition to an opponent to have them prepare for less? I don't, what Jesse Marsh did, I don't care. I've seen it in so many other sports. What does it matter? People, outraged at subterfuge and things like that. And, the Canadian fans probably were a little bit more upset about all of the discussion, and then just have him be as a decoy in a match that was, important. But I would also imagine that Jesse Marsh and his coaching staff, they prepared as best as they could without him in the lineup to try and figure out, okay, how can we beat this team and do well, prepare for Switzerland and do so without Alphonso Davies. And I know that the idea is, if you'd had Alphonso Davies, all the play of having Alphonso Davies ready in Switzerland, and then obviously looking at it, from behind, with hindsight and everything, that, you would have had a better chance to win your game in group had you had Alphonso Davies. But if you knew going in that you didn't have him from a coaching staff perspective, then you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we do things and get a lineup squared away? I have zero issue with subterfuge. I have zero issue with a coach telling me, basically none ya, or you can be diplomatic about it. Sit there and say, well, we're working with things. We're looking at him day by day, and we'll see what happens. And if he's ready, we'll see how many minutes we can have him out there. And if he can start, he can start. If he ends up as a sub, he ends up as a sub. We're going to do our best, and his physical trainer is going to do their, all the trainers are going to do their best, and the physios to get him out there, and we'll see what we get. You can be as non-committal as you want. You can be as enthusiastic as you want. But why should you give an opponent a reason not to prepare for one of your stars? Doesn't bother me a bit. Doesn't bother me one damn bit. Well, like I said, I know the idea of hindsight and anticipation of having Alphonso Davies and playing it up and all this kind of stuff. Give your opponent something to prepare for. Don't give them don't take something off the table. So, okay, so Davies isn't going to play, so we now know that they're going to do this, and this. No, let the Swiss prepare for everything. And then if you still can't get it done with what you have on your game day roster, then that's on you. But I have zero issue with subterfuge. I have zero issue with Nunya. Well, just, it is what it is. And so you heard Jesse Marsh there discussing what it's going to be like in this matchup against South Africa. And that brings us to our friend Hugo Broos. And we do have some additional stuff with Hugo Broos coming up in a bit, but this is part of the conversation at the MD-1s, where it was Hugo Broos and Emi Okan getting ready for the second round and what it means in general, once again, courtesy of our friends at FIFA. So here is Emi Okan and Hugo Broos discussing the round of 32 and the knockouts and what it means and what he anticipates coming into the matchup this afternoon.
He's young. Do you prefer to put that aside? Yeah, man. I mean, it's a historic moment for us, as a country.
Do you prefer to put that aside?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a historic moment for us, as a country, and I mean, we're just really happy and excited for it, and if we can go on, then we will, and we just keep on working hard and looking forward to the next game,
Yeah, it's like Hima said, I think we can say already now that the World Cup is a success for us. Everybody expected and hoped that we should be in the second round, and we are in the second round. This is important, but again, that doesn't mean now that we are happy and that we just play the game tomorrow and go home. Once you are there, you want more, and we want to win the game tomorrow also. And I think if we can show the same mentality and the same level that we played against South Korea, then I think we have a chance to win it. Even Canada is a very tough team, so we will have to be in our best level, on our best level. Otherwise, it would be impossible. But if we should achieve again to go to the third round, yeah, then I can say that should be really a miracle for Bafana Bafana.
Hugo Bros and Ime Okun getting ready for the matchup this afternoon. And we do have a bit of a follow-up with our friend Hugo Bros. And it has to do, and this comes from our friends at Kickoff. So Michele Mbowazi has been with Chicago Fire this season in Major League Soccer after getting picked up from Orlando Pirates. And so you have Mbowazi and Ime Okun now getting the chance to had only played once together for Bafana Bafana prior to the start of the World Cup. Little to suggest unfamiliarity. So Bros in the press conference, and what I'll do for tomorrow is I'll try and find the soundbite and we'll play it. Quoting Hugo Bros. Mbowazi is a very good player and he's young, has made progression. When I see him now and when I saw him nearly 1 year ago, he has become better, and I really hope that in the next months or year that he should go to a bigger competition where he's more challenged. He'll become better than he already is, that he already is now. He's not only a good player, but he can be a leader later, certainly, so I expect much from him as the pop-up windows take over and I can't read. Making a fantastic career, and I think everybody saw that already when he played the games with us. He is strong, he's quick, he's good in passing. So he's a very good defender. With Ime next to him, two young players, I think the future of Bafana Bafana for central defenders is secured. So once again, our friend Hugo Bros is ishing on Major League Soccer. That's all that he really apparently wants to do when it comes to Major League Soccer. I really hope that in the next months or year, he should go to a bigger competition where he is more challenged. Go to a bigger competition where he is more challenged. Sure. Once again, to Hugo Bros, I say, bless your heart. Because the mere fact that you continue to ish on Major League Soccer as a league, I think, frankly, your outrage, or whatever you want to call it, your ishability on Major League Soccer, frankly, if you've got a problem with it, then in Mbowazi's case, maybe you should go back to Orlando Pirates and tell them not to sell to the league in the first place. If you have such a crappy opinion of Major League Soccer, then go to Orlando Pirates and ask their front office, why did you transfer him to Major League Soccer? If you're the national team head coach and you claim to have your finger on the pulse of your national team, and you want Okun and Mbowazi to be this great relationship going forward, and you're looking out for the future of Bafana Bafana, and you're looking out for the future of Michele Mbowazi, and you think it should be someplace else, a larger league than Major League Soccer, go to a bigger competition where he is more challenged. Your first conversation should be with Orlando Pirates to ask them why they thought Mboazi would be better served when he was sold, why Chicago Fire knocked on their door in the first place, and why they picked up the phone. Ask Orlando Pirates front office about what they think about Major League Soccer, other than the fact that the check is going to cash. I think your issue in this case should be with Orlando Pirates for picking up the phone. Maybe you should direct them to a better league where Mboazi should be playing in his formative years. Mboazi has done fantastic work with Chicago Fire. Just ask our friend Max Anderson. But for Hugo Broos to again ish on Major League Soccer, ishing on a destination for a player from Orlando Pirates in South Africa, and I'm running it straight because it's not Central Florida's version. Your issue should be with Orlando Pirates and what they thought of the league in the first place, and not ishing on Major League Soccer for the 38th time in a row. Go to a bigger competition where he is more challenged. With all due respect, sir, where do you think in his career, and this would have been my follow-up question after that soundbite, sir, where should he have gone? Where should Michele Mboazi, where should he have gone? Would you have helped in that maneuver? Would you have? Where would you have sent him? Major League Soccer is the number 12 league in the world. Where would you have sent Michele Mboazi? What bigger competition do you have in mind where he is more challenged? Where would you have sent him? The response from Hugo Broos, when you sit there and you think that you've gotten all the responses that you can get from a man in a tournament setting, then he comes up and he dials you up with this one. Ishing on the vibe at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Morning Jordan. And I kept this one. I kept this one on purpose because I was waiting to see if we were going to get something following up with this, and we did. Here was the first time in this tournament, 9 days ago, that Hugo Broos ished on this particular part of the plan. I'm going to play this back for you.
If I can be very honest, this is not a football stadium. It's a nice stadium, fantastic stadium, everything you want, but only the grass is football. All the rest is not. It's a covered stadium, so yeah, I like to play in an open stadium. I don't feel really the atmosphere in such a stadium. When you compare it with Azteca, for example, that's a football stadium. So yeah, we have to deal with it. And again, yeah, those stadiums are fantastic stadiums. Also for the crowd, I think they see everything in that stadium. There are no places who are covered or whatever. So again, but yeah, I rather like a real football stadium.
So he's going to ish on where MLS teams play. He's going to ish on the league that one of his players is in. When he loses matches, and going back to the first time that comment happened 9 days ago, doesn't like real football. Doesn't think that Mercedes-Benz is a real football stadium. That was after a dissatisfactory match that his team played that happened to be in that building. When he lost in AFCON back in December, I want to say, said basically that the stadiums in Morocco didn't have the vibe. So when he loses, He wants to lash out on the home area, whether it's Stadia or what have you. He lashes out on the stadium like he did in AFCON, did that 9 days ago. Then yesterday at the press conference, getting ready for the matchup at SoFi, he decides he's going to ish on the league that benefits from playing in a bunch of these stadia. I'm surprised he didn't say anything bad about SoFi yesterday. That SoFi isn't a real football stadium. Hugo Bros, I think, wants to wear his London Fog long coat with his mucklucks or whatever he wants to wear, whatever shoes he wants to wear, what have you. He wants to play football in a building that he has to walk up to in the snow, barefoot both ways, coming and going. He wants to play in a place like that in front of however many thousand people. He would rather play in those kinds of conditions. He'd rather play in an orange ball scenario on grass and have the game be a kickabout where everybody just gets all muddy and nasty instead of showcasing athletes, including his own. He wants to ish on Atlanta Stadium. It's not a real football stadium. Like I said, I'm surprised that he didn't ish on SoFi because they don't really play football there. But whenever there's a negative, he'll want to ish out. And he's ishing out. He's ished out twice in 9 days about stuff going on here in the United States. I wonder if he loses today to Canada, what his press conference is going to be like. First words out of his mouth, probably, this is not a real football stadium. We got your game down. But bless your heart, Hugo Bros. You want to ish on Major League Soccer. You want to ish on the personal choice of your player to further his game. But bless your heart. Come back. Come back when you're not managing your national team and trying to criticize vibes and locations for the growth of the game. Come back. We'll take you to Mary Mac's Tea Room. We'll take you to Fat Matt's. You'll see the building as it is in its team form. But bless your heart, man. You just want to sit there and ish all over everything that grows the game and puts it in these modern cathedrals. But you want to play in a place that you go barefoot up to the top of a hillside with uneven crowns and snow up to your ankles and not even playing with an orange ball. Insert your stereotypes here. So Hugo Bros decided he wanted to ish over Major League Soccer. I mean, it literally is. We've figured out the man's playbook when it comes to these post-match pressers or just pressers in general. He's going to ish on anything modern, and he's going to ish on something that is on the outside that is growing. And instead of embracing growth, wherever it's coming from, you want to ish all over it, whether it's modern technology and where people play or modern destinations where people want to grow. So that's Hugo Bros for you in a nutshell. He wants to continually ish on things that he doesn't like. He's probably like me, and, well, he's probably not like me. He probably wants to put like 9,000 grams of salt on anything. So, yeah, Hugo Bros once again continues to put himself at the forefront of not getting any new friends, especially here in the United States. So congratulations to you, sir. Job well done. So that's at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Jordan said he never had seen so many Colombians in Atlanta until last night. That was a fun crowd. That was a great crowd. Wore a bunch of different jerseys. A lot of Congolese people. But once again, remember, there are Congolese and Senegalese, and it is a great diaspora here. I mean, Uzbek, there's a great Uzbek population. And so we're going to be talking about that as the week goes along on SDH AM. But remember, there's a lot of different folks that are bringing the game in a bunch of new places. And Hugo Bros apparently wants to keep it where you've got old leather that sticks to your feet and just nasty 3-inch metal cleats that stick in the mud. I think the same can be said for Hugo Bros, frankly. Ishing on destinations for players, ishing on leagues, ishing on facilities that all happen to be located where we are. So he was 3 for 3, and he added, once again, Major League Soccer to his list of airing of grievances. And, yeah, the Uzbeks were fantastic. They were great. So that puts us to where we are right now. This afternoon, once again, the one game on the board that is the beginning of the round of 32. What will the minutes be like for Alphonso Davies? We'll find out. 3 o'clock, Big FOX, Canadian Premier League is at 7 o'clock on FS2, Calgary and Quebec. Big Fox, Fox ONE has both of those. It's the traditional Big Sunday in MLS Next Pro. Go to MLSNextPro.com, Major League Soccer's YouTube channel, or OneFootball. Toronto FC2 hosting Revs 2 at 3 o'clock. 3 matches at 6. Carolina Core Huntsville, Connecticut United NYC FC 2, and FC Cincinnati 2, and Messi and Friends 2. Those are at 6. 3 at 7. Red Bulls 2, Philadelphia Union 2, Orlando City B, Crew 2, and St. Louis City 2, and Los Verdos, Austin FC 2. That's at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, Loons 2 and Tacoma Defiance. 10 o'clock, it is LAFC 2 and Houston Dynamo 2. Dynamo Dos traveling to Los Angeles. All those, once again, MLSNextPro.com, OneFootball, MLS YouTube channel. Atlanta United 2 last night, by the way, at the Turner Athletic Complex in Athens. Back and forth, and it ended up as a 3-3 draw after 90, and Charlotte FC2 wins 4-3 in PKs. So the extra point goes to the visitors. It was a goal in the 6th minute by Wadrogo. Then it was Romero scoring in the 14th, so it was 2-0 to the visitors after 14 minutes. Then it was Arif Kovac from the spot in the 18th. Then it was a goal by Arif Kovac in the 30th. You were tied at 2. Nathan Richmond scored in the 54th. Then Jack Neely reared his ugly head again in play. Neely, you'll remember from the Open Cup game, he was not making any friends there. Gets a red card on a nasty tackle in the 58th minute. And that got the visitors down to 10. And the tackle on Cameron Dunbar. And from there, then it was literally next possession. Dominic Chongqui scores in the 60th. 3-3 after 60, 3-3 after 90. They go to PKs, and Crown Legacy and Charlotte FC2. Crown Legacy gets the extra point, winning 4-3 in PKs. So next up for Atlanta United 2 in their schedule here on the network is July 4th. And it is at Turner up against Toronto FC2. We'll have that one on the network for you. And that one will be 4 out of 5 home games in the month of July. July 4th, July 11th, Messi and Friends 2 come to town to Turner. On the 18th, they go to Wicks Family Field, Joe Davis Stadium to take on Huntsville City Football Club. Back at home on the 26th to take on NYCFC 2, and then they take on Carolina Core on July 31st. And so those are that is July for you. 4 home matches for Atlanta United 2. So if you are near a location for an Atlanta United 2 home match, go see the Twos. We'll have all of their coverage, obviously, here on the SDH Network, World Cup permitting. So next matchup for the Twos, July 4th at Turner Soccer Complex in Athens. So that was the news for the Twos last night. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch. I mean, we got to do a what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it from our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. It helps them out, helps us out, helps you out, and it gives you the opportunity to add a bunch of other streaming services and a bunch of other games to your dossier that you can watch in any given week. Get a lot of the A and B division games in South America. You get ties to Tigo Sports, you get ties to CATV, you get TSA out of Argentina, which means you get Copa Uruguay and their coverage of the World Cup. You get CDO2 out of Chile. You can get TVV if you want to add it, but if you have a certain cable system and you get the Hispanic package, it is already there. Public service announcement, the more you know. Then from that, You can also get all the be-ins, which means you get Libertadores, you get Sudamericana, you get their activity in Africa on the African continent. You get CAF, you get AFCON, you get all the qualifying tournaments, you get all the U championships on the African continent and in the Middle East. You also get their activity in European leagues, Turkey, Poland, France. That's all in one place. fanatesfntz.co/soccer down here. The Ghanaian boss, Carlos Queiroz, once again, who's never met a microphone he didn't like. Jamie Barton at the 4-letter. Carlos Queiroz criticized the expansion of the 48 to 48, expressing his fear the move risks turning it into a vulgar, ordinary competition. And this was in his post-match presser after the loss to Croatia, which meant that they qualified for the knockouts as one of the best third-place teams. I've never seen in my life, Queiroz said, common things, ordinary things that come with huge value. So the number of teams that qualify for the World Cup, I'm afraid that it can turn this competition into a vulgar, ordinary competition. So many teams qualifying for the World Cup. I think the value of the competition comes from it being rare to be in the World Cup. It's, in my opinion, still debatable. I need to see. It's one opinion that is based on my personal feeling, end quote. Once again, we had to talk about teams 33 through 48. I would disagree for the moment. I would disagree. I really would. I would disagree. How can you grow the game if you don't have the opportunity to? I think 64 is entirely too many. Don't get me wrong. But how do you grow the game if you don't expand the field? You add to the house. You don't sit there and just try to make it, you smash through a wall or something. Add to the house. So you look at the gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and a hydration break since we're now in hour number 2, or past hour number 2. So your transfer talk this morning, the trending rumors, Manchester United haven't given up on landing West Ham midfielder Mateus Fernandes after reopening talks with the player, according to Matteo Moretto. Prepared to improve their contract offer in an attempt to beat Spurs to the Portuguese international, planning a fresh round of negotiations over their expected £80 million fee. Spurs want to get this done, and they've wanted to get it done over the last couple of days. United remain confident they can secure a deal for him, who wants to leave after the Hammers were relegated. Monaco winger Magnus Akliush, priority signing for PSG, according to Foot Mercato. Expected to accelerate negotiations once Lee Kang-in's move to Atleti is completed. Talks between the clubs and the player reps continuing. Akliush has already agreed to join PSG if the two clubs are able to successfully negotiate a final transfer fee, as talks with Luis Enrique reported to have convinced him to move. Spurs have also been linked. Newcastle interested in signing Borussia Dortmund midfielder Felix de Mecca, currently unwilling to meet the club's €100 million asking price, according to the Chronicle. Eddie Howe, longtime admirer, first-time caller, longtime listener. Before Newcastle opted for Sandro Tonali in 2023, that was the direction that they wanted to go. Expected to pursue a deal only if BVB lowers their demand. Several other Premier League clubs monitoring the situation. Everton, pole position to land Liam Delap from Chelsea on a permanent, according to Football Insider. Submitted an initial offer looking to strengthen their attacking options ahead of the new season. Delap wanted by several other Premier League clubs after being deemed surplus. Man, they put that on the jersey. It's like surplus 10, bang. Everton remained confident after moving early in the race to get his signature. Como, $25 million plus 2 in add-ons in euro to sign Trevor Chalobah, according to Sky Italy. Chelsea are holding out on a fee closer to 30 plus bonuses. Negotiations ongoing between the two sides. Under contract at Chelsea until June of 28. Chelsea exploring a deal to sign Granit Xhaka from Sunderland. Xabi Alonso, who doesn't start work until July 1st, has a close relationship with the 33-year-old, views him as an experienced player capable of bringing leadership to a young dressing room. City monitoring Ayoub Bouadi ahead of a possible move this summer. City continuing to look at midfielders despite committing $116 million to sign Elliot Anderson from Forest. Arsenal have also looked at Bouadi, although their current focus is Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. Other rumors. Team talk. Marcus Rashford still eyeing a return to Barcelona after the loan expires. Spanish club may yet bid to sign him at the end of the window. Calcio Mercato. Proposed transfer of Curtis Jones from Liverpool to Internazionale is in jeopardy. Two clubs still fall apart in their respective valuations for the midfielder's transfer. Nicola Shiro. Leeds want to sign €30 million rated Parma keeper Zion Suzuki, preparing to lodge a bid to land him in the coming days. Villa also showing interest in the Japan international. Shira also reports that Brahim Diaz determined to stay at Real Madrid despite the Spanish Giants receiving several offers from other clubs in recent days. Ben Jacobs. Brighton have struck a £20 million agreement in principle to sign Leeds United defender Pascal Struijk. Talk Sport. Hull keen on recruiting Belgian fullback Thomas Meunier once his contract at Lille expires June 1st. Mateo Moretto. Valencia are on the verge of extending Guido Rodriguez's contract at the club. Sky Germany. Besiktas Chiefs have held fresh talks with Bayern Munich keeper Alexander Nubel and his agent over a summer transfer. German international expected to make his decision early next week. Also, Sky Germany reporting SV Elversberg are exploring a permanent transfer for Borussia Dortmund's Cole Campbell, although Celtic are also keeping tabs on the winger. Rangers want to sign Atalanta defender Ben Godfrey on loan this summer. Talks between the two clubs are already underway. That is from our friends at Sky. So that is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo leading into the Monday. So that is where we are with all of the news. Let's see if we missed anything from any of our friends that are out there. And Ben Jacobs, who's been incredibly busy. First player to score in 7 straight matches, Lionel Messi, with the draw that he hit on the free kick. So that is another piece of history. So Johan Vissa, 3 World Cup goals, as many as he scored for Newcastle last season. Like I said, story upcoming here later today on soccerdownhere.net. So 70 goals for Harry Kane, club and country this season. We also forgot to mention Steve Clark stepped down from Scotland after the exit in the World Cup. And so I was waiting to find out how long it was going to take for that to happen. And it did yesterday afternoon while we were at Mercedes-Benz. While we were at Atlanta Stadium, Steve Clark stepped down with Scotland's exit from the World Cup. So that was the other piece of news that was attached yesterday to national team stuff. Also on the board, seeing if we are missing anything. I think we got that okay. We mentioned the Ian Murphy transaction with San Diego FC and Colorado. Ian Murphy to San Diego from Colorado in exchange for a $2 and $100,000 in Garber bucks plus performance-based add-ons. Colorado has signed Loic Williams, who's arrived and is in camp. Once again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Morning Espresso newsletter. And what that will do is that'll get you all the news that's fit to print. That's the Jason's Morning News newspaper. You want to crack open your newspaper, get the Morning Espresso newsletter. Go to soccerdownhere.net. Scroll down the page. There's a box right in the middle. Put your email address in. Hit send. You get Morning Espresso. Thanks to our friends once again at Oglethorpe University for being great partners with us to help you start your day with SDH and with everything that everything's going on in the world. So let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything. So first-time knockouts for both South Africa and for Canada. Once again, 3 o'clock this afternoon out at SoFi. And waiting to see. Just waiting to see. I'm waiting to see Hugo Broos complain about SoFi. Atlanta Soccer tonight. Back from 9 to 11. Jason reviews South Africa and Canada. Sets a table for the knockouts. 92.9 the game. Odyssey app. 92.9 YouTube channel. 9 to 11 tonight. The 3-dimensional experience for AST. We start your day here. Start your day with Morning Espresso. If you want to read about it, start your day here. Day goes. Day ends. AST tonight from 9 to 11. Once again, 92.9 the game. Odyssey app. 92.9 the game YouTube channel. And we'll have your best couple of minutes as a part of tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, it is going to be Abe. It is going to be Bart. And we are efforting other guests that could be in the 10:30 hour. Going to have a visit from Kennesaw State analyzing the FIFA World Cup on Tuesday. Wednesday, 8 to 9:30. Because of the noon kick downtown with England and DR Congo, 8 to 9:30. So we're on early on Wednesday. Obviously, Thursday, we're going to have a lot of review preview with the Power Hour and get you set for the weekend. But Wednesday is going to be a very long day, people. So you need to make sure that you are good conditioning, properly hydrated, sunscreen if you need it. Atlanta Stadium at noon, England, DR Congo, 8 o'clock, U.S. Bosnia and Herzegovina. We're still looking to find where our night side is going to be for Atlanta Soccer tonight, leading into U.S. men's national team. So we'll have that when we know. We're scouting out a couple of places, and we're trying to figure out where Atlanta Soccer tonight is going to be. But start the day here Wednesday, 8 to 9:30, downtown England and DR Congo. Then we'll get you ready for 8 o'clock. AST will go from 6 to 8, or maybe 6 to a little before 8, at a location to be determined. We'll let you know where that is, and we'll keep you posted on that. But once again, Atlanta Soccer tonight every night. Time 9 to 10, usually starting in there someplace, unless there's a special mega edition. 929 The Game, 929thegame.com, Odyssey app, 929 YouTube channel. All those places. Arif Kovac got 11 and 12 last night when we were discussing what happened with Crown Legacy. So, once again, July 4th at the Turner Soccer Complex, next matchup for Atlanta United 2. If you missed it, Lenox Square and the YMCA are looking for soccer balls through the end of July. New soccer balls of every size. Bins at the mall level at Lenox Square and the mall management office. YMCA of Metro Atlanta started to use soccer in Decatur in the 1960s. If you missed our interview, it's up in the archive section here at SDH, and you can find out about the growth of it now. And they're looking for soccer balls. If you're in Buckhead and you want to drop off some soccer balls, do so at Lenox Square to help out the YMCA. Juve is closing in on Dibu Martinez, by the way. 10 million euro evaluation on Emi Martinez. Juve want the transfer. TMW is saying Juve and Martinez, personal terms, 5 million a season over the next 3 years, 5 million euro. Club willing to go up to 5 million euro on the fee. Villa willing to come down a little bit. So that is that's where we are. That's the news. Them's the things. And obviously, we'll keep an eye on it all for you here. We'll come back with more stuff. But once again, 3 o'clock this afternoon, the round of 32 starts. And I can't wait to find out what Hugo Bros is going to complain about next. Jordan, it's great to see you. Don't be a stranger. Thanks to you. Thanks to Abby for dropping in this morning. And D. Graham for also dropping in. Abby was on a roll this morning, understandably so. But thanks to all of you guys for dropping in, as you always do. Back at it again tonight with Atlanta Soccer tonight after Canada and South Africa. Tomorrow, back at it again. Morning Espresso, SDH AM, and the week starts all over again. Welcome to match day 17 of the World Cup in and around this country and in and around this hemisphere. Enjoy it as you like to do. Fan festive choice at home in air-conditioned environs. Kicking your feet up because it's going to be another great week and another long week coming up here in just a little bit. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. Mucha platial, play it safe. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do one thing and one thing only. And we will do it again. Did I absolutely do? And I sit here and I'm trying to tease the close of the show. And I now have to add it all over again for some strange reason. So we're going to add the close. You're going to see some TV magic happen. And it means that I get to do something like this. And so I'm going to try and load this particular piece of video. Let's see how long it takes.